you know what? Like, F it. I don't need this PhD. I can figure out another way to make money. I can do that in the private or public sector. And also, I want to be a homemaker and I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And my husband have had these conversations with me. And that's a fun little detail that people don't often realize, that we did not mean to end up in conventional gender roles. My husband thought he wanted an independent boss babe PhD
Really?
physicist triathlete. Yeah, yeah, he really did.
We have these conversations a lot, and I tell people that provision and protection comes in a lot of different forms. It's
Hmm.
not just, oh man, somebody is running over there and they, with a gun, and are you going to man up? And it's the decisions that you make on a daily basis, and men protect women from themselves, or the idea of being a protector sometimes, because I believe that women have special talents and gifts that allow for them to be able to do special things in society, like their ability to nurture, right? That's something, in my opinion, that women just have. Their
Hmm.
ability to nurture, or their ability to be able to research certain situations based off of the femininity that they carry within themselves. And then the same thing conversely with men. I believe that men have a certain natural instinct within them to add value into a relationship that women just don't carry. And so when I seen you do that, it just kind of made me laugh a little bit, and I chuckled a little bit, because I do the same thing for my wife. I do not let her just go out and do anything, because sometimes her intentions are great, but it's not the best situation for her. So to see that happen, I said, I got to talk about this and I got to bring this up, because I think that it's a good talking point.
Hmm.
So,
No, I'm happy to share it, and that's why I get a little bit of heat on my channel, because what I'm telling women is to pursue above average dating.
mhm.
But honestly, I think that's the only way that you can stay married, is if you marry your first choice. All the women I know that end up divorced, they married their second choice, whether they knew it or not, or they don't have that genuine physical desire as well. And that's the thing about it. Like, most women are not going to be able to get the men that they want. But for those of you that would like to put in the effort and compete, because competition is not a bad word, that's
Mhm.
what my channel's for. Like, I'm not here for average dating. That doesn't make any sense to me. I go to Walmart. I've seen average. No disrespect. It makes the world go round. That's amazing. But like, is that what I would recommend to my daughter, my kids? No, I'm trying to get these women to win. But if we get enough women that they're really coming into their feminine and they're saying, yeah, actually, I would prefer masculine man, maybe other young men will get on board and start embracing their masculinity. Because I see that as a problem with millennial and Gen Z men. It's not to say that men aren't good enough. Okay, like, we did this to them. We
Yeah.
did this to men as women. We're raising the men. We're telling them to be more feminine. It's a problem that we've created. But yeah, I recently graduated college, undergrad. You'll see the most handsome young men. They can be physically fit and they still don't command presence. They don't have confidence, or they keep deferring to women, and that's not sexy. It's just not. So hopefully we can get some good work going here.
Yeah, you did a video. I don't know if it was a live stream or a video where you were talking about how masculine men are sexy.
They are, but I didn't know for years.
So let me pivot. Let me pivot, right? Because I want to come back to your content, but the first thing that I want to do is, when I did the initial review of your video, and obviously I didn't have any background information like I do now, or I haven't talked to you before I did a review of your video. What I found is two things. The first thing that I found is that the hyenas, the feminists, oh, they were on your head. They were coming after you. How do you deal with pushback and blowback that comes from people that oppose your quote unquote traditional views, and they shun it for more modern feminism and ways in which women are thinking today?
Well, I think I have some pretty good reasoning behind the whole traditional. I'm not a traditional woman. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it a stack. It's not like I was married a virgin. It's not like I lived like this, righteous life. And a lot of that just has to do with the risk factors that I had. I mean, people are out here expecting women to act right when we ain't got a father. I'm like, I tried. I
Mm-hmm.
tried. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But what I will say, and this is because I think traditionally conservative women think that they're above liberal women. I don't think so, because if you look at their actual behaviors, they're pretty similar. But what
Mm.
you will notice when it comes to what people would say traditional or conservative women is that we overtly care how men see us. We care about being physically attractive to men. We will be thin. We will do our hair. We'll do our makeup. We'll wear a dress. Whereas on the liberal side of things, they could care less. But at the end of the day, they're still pursuing masculine men. So what's really here at the center is what I would call conventional gender roles, because liberal women also, they leave the workforce to stay home as well. So I kind of work from that reasoning and that framework. When I get pushback, I'm like, one, we're not that different. Two, you probably want the same thing that I have. Three, majority of the time it's a projection. And I'll go and I'll look at these women's profiles just to see,
Oh,
you
you
know,
petty.
is there a man? Is there a man? Do
You
you
are
even look
petty.
feminine? Of course, because sometimes you have really good discourse, and I try to have these conversations. And other times you go, look, you're like, ma'am, you got no ground to stand on. Why are you grilling me? If you had a man, you wouldn't have time to do this.
You know that as you get bigger, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to have the capacity, because I'm sure you don't even have the capacity now. But as you
No, I
continue to
don't.
grow, when you get bigger, and I see you and just Pearly Things traveling, and y'all doing valuetainment, y'all doing a lot of big things, right? As you grow and your platform grow, the hyenas are going to get louder because there's going to be more of them, right? You're going to have more people that love you and then more people that oppose you.
Right.
How do you think that, like, how are you going to handle that? How do you deal with that?
Well,
Like, how do
eventually
you
it's just
stay
gonna
in a
be.
good mental space
Mhm.
considering, because I mean, you are a woman, so I know that you could possibly get affected by if somebody just come at you and say something crazy. How do you deal with
Mhm.
that?
I mostly just lean on my husband. My husband gives me mentorship regularly. That's the cool thing about being with an older man too. It's like life lessons from half a century. Like,
Yeah.
please drop the knowledge on me. So he just talks to me and reinforces what the truth is. The truth is that oftentimes when people insult other people, it's a projection. But for me, I think I'm still a little bit naive. I'm still very shocked at like the level of misinterpretation, because you would tell a woman, "Oh, why don't you get married?" And then they'll respond to you, "So you think women should be slaves?" I'm like, how how we got from point A to point Z. Like, I wasn't, so that I'm still coming to grips with. So for TikTok, it's really good content if you respond to the hate comments. However, everywhere else, it's kind of like the law of diminishing returns. There's just too much for me to respond to, because I could make them all look silly. It's not hard. It's not hard to approach people with logic and be like, just so you know, you kind of look like a moron. But that's not always the best light to be perceived in. So I lean on my husband. I understand that there's too much for me to respond to, and that I don't need to respond to everything, and that I just need to stay focused on my content and the message. Because if I pay too much mind to that, it's really going to affect my self esteem a little bit. It's actually, I think I'm handling it better than I expected. A lot better than I expected, because when you know your truth, you look at the phone, you're like, this is not reality. No,
Yeah,
this person doesn't know
yeah.
anything about me.
So what about, okay, so the second thing that caught my eye was, I dropped the video and then people immediately start sending me emails and messages. Oh, no, 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 she's dope. She's dope because um which I agreed with a lot of what you said in the video, but they were like, "Oh, no, no, no. That's the homie. Kevin Samuels actually impacted her in a positive way."
Mhm.
So, tell me how you got turned on to the whole Kevin Samuels thing.
I think it was just down to timing. Obviously, he went viral, and I liked the manosphere, the red pill, just like men's improvement spaces content, because I wanted to understand men more in general. I think it's a skill that women need to have. You don't get to control if you have a son or a daughter, so you better get with the program. You better figure out what these men are dealing with. Also, you have husbands, uncles, fathers. So that was just something that I knew that I was interested in, and I started taking in the content, and often it would be really good life advice. And I'm a female listener. I'm like, wow, I think the men are making some sense. I'm pretty sure if I did some of the things that they're saying to do, that I could get some different outcomes in life. Because you have to think, I think it's sad that I have to get male mentorship from the internet, but I don't have a father. So at
Yeah.
least it's there, at least it's available, and I have something like that. But that was when I came across Kevin's content, I was at a crossroads in my life. I was in the middle of undergrad, and I'm really smart, and I kept thinking, I have to get a PhD. I really need a PhD for me to matter in this world.
The PhD.
Yeah, I thought to be important and to matter, that I had to go out and get that. And I was spending money on the exams. And normally, if I spend money on something, I go out and do it. But for some reason, with these exams, it just wasn't happening. But I went to college a little bit later in life. And for college, I was like
Yeah.
25 or, So I just basically decided, you know what? Like, F it. I don't need this PhD. I can figure out another way to make money. I can do that in the private or public sector. And also, I want to be a homemaker and I want to be a stay at home mom. And my husband had these conversations with me. And that's a fun little detail that people don't often realize, is that we did not mean to end up in conventional gender roles. My husband thought he wanted an independent boss babe PhD
Really?
physicist triathlete. Yeah, he really did. He did.